In the watch world amongst enthusiasts, there are several countries that have earned our respect for watchmaking. We have, of course, the Swiss, Germans, and Japanese watchmakers that really prove themselves to be the best at what they do. However, there is an underdog country out there that many of us would completely gloss over, mostly due to our initial thoughts of quality when we hear the words, made in China. Well, what if I told you this watch from Ciga Design, the Series U Blue Planet, beat out several watches, including the Swiss? Yep, you heard that right. Chinese watchmaking is getting serious. Now, before we take a closer look at this Series U Blue Planet, I think we all need to understand who Ciga Design is. They were founded back in 2016 by one of China's top industrial designer, Zhang Jianmin, which makes Ciga Design the first designer watch for China. Their mission as a young watch brand is to redefine watchmaking with modern mechanical art, which is seen throughout the Blue Planet, which we'll get into in a bit. Ciga Design really didn't get much of the spotlight until winning the challenge category last year in the GPHG. This is a really big deal for any watchmaker to win, which is basically the highest achievement you can earn in watchmaking. And for a young watch brand, let alone a watch brand from China to win, this is truly extraordinary. So extraordinary, in fact, that it will be forever ingrained in horological history as China's first watch to ever receive a GPH award. Now that's something to be proud of. So I just moved into a new home and I've been ordering a bunch of packages. So many, in fact, that I can't really keep track of what is expected to arrive that day. So carrying this package back to the mailroom, I thought maybe it was that coffee table book I ordered as decor, only to be presented with this curious package from Ciga Design. Well, I wasn't completely wrong. It is kind of like a book. Kind of. There's also meaningful philosophy that explains the awareness to the environment, which is what the theme is throughout this piece. It really is a whole experience, which I found enjoyable, kind of like a fancy meal. Hors d'oeuvres during cocktail hour, the appetizer, a savory main course, and the best part, dessert. When you're finally presented with the watch, I really love how the strap is decoupled to really anchor your attention to the actual watch design, which is a complete circle. Not many watches follow this completely circular design, which is striking at first glance. The last page shows how to operate the watch and tell the time, which we'll get into in a bit. So overall, my first impressions of the Blue Planet were pretty impressive, and at this point, I couldn't wait to get the watch strapped onto my wrist. One thing most watch manufacturers glance over when designing a watch, especially one that really puts emphasis on the case and dial design like this watch, is probably the strap that it comes on. I was a bit worried that the rubber strap was going to be rigid and uncomfortable, but I was surprised how supple and soft it wears right out of the box. It was a good idea to strap this on a rather plain strap, as it really lets the unique space age case design stand out. The version I have features a titanium case, and although it is lighter than the steel version, I have to say that the watch has some heft compared to some other titanium cases that I've handled. I think the heft may have to do with its 46mm case diameter, but before you shy off away from the size of the watch, it wears smaller. You have to remember this watch is all dial with lugless design, wearing smaller than you'd think. Here it is next to my Seiko Solar Tuna, which is also 46mm, but because of its circular lugless design, it wears really well on my 7.5-inch wrist. I'm a big fan of the brushing throughout the case. It really helps with hiding any hairline scratches it might pick up over time. Now for the main event of this watch, of course, is the dial. I won't go too in depth on how to read the time, but in a nutshell, the navigation marker moves around the dial and is used to track what time it is. The outer ring is static, which tells you the hour, and the inner ring moves, tracking the minutes. In this case, the time reads 10:10. It's a really clever way to tell the time, and I'll admit, it took some time getting used to it. Honestly, even after a week of consistent wear, it still wasn't quick to tell the time at glance. But I think that's something that this watch is really going for. It's a watch to really admire, not to quickly tell time. If you want to tell time quickly, honestly, you're better off just looking at your phone for that. This watch forces you to slow down a bit and admire the dial by taking time to explore where the indicators on the dial line up to tell you what time it is. Think of this watch, like many other hot horology pieces, as a film camera, really. It isn't as convenient or instant as a digital camera, but the romantic qualities of a film camera by taking time to frame, expose, focus, and develop your film makes it that much more enjoyable. This watch tells time in an unconventional way. It isn't at all practical, but it is beautiful. And for a lot of us watch enthusiasts tired of seeing another diver sports watch entering the market, we all need a bit of unconventional in our lives, like this Blue Planet, to freshen our palette up a bit. Overall, the amount of detail the Ciga Blue Planet features, from the micro carving on the dial, accurate to the landforms on Earth, and to its design inspiration taken from the Earth as a constant reminder to protect our home. It all comes together really well in this watch, and it's no surprise to me on how they were able to win the challenge prize for 2021. So who is this watch really for? I can already tell for a lot of people watching, it may not be your cup of tea. However, for those of us that had the opportunity to explore many watches throughout their collecting journey and are looking for something a bit more avant-garde in design, I don't think I could think of another watch that offers this much for the price of this watch. Compared to a lot of forward design watches out there, you're getting hot horology looks at an affordable level. It isn't going to be your first watch, but it may be your first statement watch that isn't your traditional sport or dress watch we all need a little break from. Also, if you're looking to own a bit of horological history, with this watch being the first Chinese watch brand to win a GPHG award, this has to be one of the most affordable ways to collect your piece of history. In the end, I highly recommend you check out offerings from Ciga Design. Even though their design aesthetics may be a bit too forward for some watch enthusiasts, I always encourage everyone to try and step out of their usual comfort zone in terms of watch styles you're so used to wearing. You never know, you might enjoy it more than you would. At least for me, I think this might be the first watch I can proudly say is made in China. I'd love to know your thoughts on the Ciga Design Blue Planet. Is this something that you'd consider wearing? Also, does this watch change your perspective on Chinese watchmaking at all? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. And for those of you returning, thanks for stopping by. So until next time, I'm Chris from Clicky Bezel, and we'll see you all in the next one.